been made in Canadian basketball.
Let's get right into the action. The St. Laurent Express showed up in the nation's capital across the border yesterday. Took an L because they're without some of their main guards. Today they're taking on SJK out of Breslau, Ontario. Should be a competitive matchup. Welcome everybody to day 4 of the Ottawa session. Jason Tom here alongside Nick Zeffy, who was watching at home and decided to drive through the night 4.5 hours from the Toronto area to get up here to Ottawa and said, guys, I need to get on the broadcast with you tomorrow. So Nick Zeffy is here. Nick, thank you for joining us. And you got 7 games today, my friend, and you got some good basketball coming your way.
That's awesome. I've definitely been looking forward to it, watching on the live stream. Been some good matchups and just looking forward to the rest of the day. The 7 games are going to be hopefully competitive. Hopefully we'll see a lot of young talent out displaying themselves, and we can go from there. But I'm definitely pumped. Just trying to live up to the work you've done so far, Jay.
Oh, you're too kind, my friend. I'm just happy I still got a voice this morning. Shout out Via Rail, who'll be taking us back to Toronto as we are going to use that time to put together some outstanding National Preparatory Association content for you, coming to you on northpolehoops.com. So today, as I mentioned, is day 3. We got SJK St. Laurent, and then at 10:45, Beast and RNS. Both teams will be looking for their first win of the session. After that, 12:15, Crestwood versus Notre Dame. That is an unbelievable matchup. Then we got BC Christian, LBA, which are 2 teams that also match up well to each other. Alex Novicic with 2. After that, how about this for a marquee matchup today? CTA and GTA Prep. Before St. Laurent finishes off against Beast, but CTA, GTA Prep, Canada Top Flight Academy had a statement win last night against Crestwood.
I heard about it. I was on the road, couldn't watch the game, but it was definitely an impressive victory from the guys in Ottawa. Looking how they match up against GTA Prep. Crestwood was supposed to be one of the guys that would kind of challenge Ottawa, CTA Prep. So let's see how GTA does in the battle of the acronyms.
Those are 2 teams that have had no problem thus far in the Ottawa session, and it will be the good old unstoppable force versus the immovable object in that game. At the line right now, Trayvon Minot, who can be an incredibly special talent. Class of 2020, my friends. He's got some years to get things together to catch up to that unbelievable frame.
Yes, he definitely stretches out right now, has good size and length at the position. Next for him is definitely going to be the coordination, and I think this 1 year of playing competitively at this level will definitely kind of open his eyes as to the improvements that he has to make moving forward.
Arnaud Gamaji. I want to apologize for butchering his name yesterday, because he was their leading scorer, and we will get it right the rest of the way. We're learning along with these kids at the same time. A lot of the time, it's the first time that we've ever seen him. Exactly as I mentioned, just the 2nd game we've seen Trayvon Minot. Had a chance to interview him before the game. Humble kid. Obviously, comes from a great family, Jamaican Haitian heritage, growing up in St. Laurent. Impressive young man.
Big Haitian population out there in Quebec. Definitely some basketball players. And what you like from Minot so far is he's doing a lot of rim running, using his size, going from point A to point B, north and south. And, you know, you'll pick up a lot of points kind of trailing the guards and just finishing in the paint.
You speak about guards. have to make sure we temper this. St. Laurent, one of those mysterious teams I think can do a lot of damage this year, but they're without really their starting backcourt. Talking to Coach Akram Slyman yesterday, says he's probably missing about 50 points from his team right now, and he just really doesn't know where he's going to get it. And beyond the scoring of 50 points, he's without guards. Really, he's playing a guy at the point who's never played the point in his life. He's a two-guard, and you can see it. They don't have a distributor or decision maker, and the big men just can't get the ball a lot of times where they need him.
That's tough. To come into an environment like this with a guy that hasn't really played the point guard position, and to expect a lot out of him, I think, would be foolish at this point. I mean, you try to get it by this session, get the guys as competitive as possible, and then just get healthy.
Jimmy Omino, who had a big-time double-double yesterday for SJK in the win, as they took out Halifax Prep. Andrew Keogh, and we were talking about the entry passes. That's a perfect example right there.
Yeah, it's a little helter-skelter right here, but St. Laurent looks like they're really enjoying their time in transition, making most of their buckets on the fast break off of defensive rebounds and also some runouts. SJK moving forward, they're going to have to slow them down, stop the ball, and kind of build walls in front of these guys, because it's been a layup fest so far.
That's what's great about the NPA. You know, every team with a completely different style, and for a lot of them it's the first time they're seeing each other. So this is kind of the beginning. We've said that the Ottawa session really is kind of the jump off for the NPA season. We've got 12 of our teams in the nation's capital. Really special feeling yesterday with all the teams here. You really, you know, you can see with your eyes what we know from, you know, helping put this league together. You can see it on paper, but then when you get in the gym and you see what we have here coast to coast across Canada, and you see these players and coaches, just how special they feel to be a part of this. Everybody's in this for the long haul.
Where else would you see Waterloo and a team out of Quebec kind of competing right now at the prep level? I mean, it's the only kind of stage for these guys to compete and really prove who's the best in Canada.
You know, and we have, these are two expansion franchises, really. You know, St. Laurent, though, obviously have played together for a long time. A lot of these kids have played with each other since grade 6, 7. They all come from the same village just outside Montreal. And then, meanwhile, SJK, I mean, they've only really been together for about 2.5 months. Head coach Ahmed El-Asta just trying to make sure that his boys compete as they continue to gel together. Branko Damjanovic down low, Novicic, Omino trying to get in there. Sorry, that's DeAndre Fordyce. Omino with the ball now, cross court. Damjanovic, who is our NPA leading scorer coming into this session with a couple of 30-plus point games, but things are going to change after some of the performances we've seen here in Ottawa. This kid has been impressive. Arnaud Gamaji has really stepped up. The mid-range game from a 6'8" kid has been very impressive.
2021 prospect. That is a smooth jumper. He looks very, very comfortable in the mid-post area. Love to see him do some work on the block as well. But he runs the floor extremely well. Nice wingspan, very fluid in his running technique. So I'm impressed as well from what I've seen from him so far.
And when you put him on the floor with Minot, you know, that can be a pretty fun combination if you are the Express, and a nightmare for opponents to try to figure out how to guard them.
And to your point, with those two big guys, you're definitely looking for that guard play.
Yeah.
So when they are healthy, I'm just excited to see this team at 100%.
Manu Seni hands it off Andrew Keogh.
Right now, SJK is not really stopping the ball, and they're kind of crowding to a space more or less. They have to have better control on those screens and on the handoffs, kind of speed up St. Laurent because they're getting whatever they want.
And really with a team that's been together for such a short amount of time, that's really where you see it, right, is on defense, because you really need to be a team to be solid on defense. You know, the offense, you can run that in practice, and you can see, you've seen it with a lot of our teams. I mean, you know, not a lot of dribbling, crisp passing, they're in their spots, but defensively, they're just not there yet.
And here we go, St. Laurent is on the run again. They've been able to really pick off the ball. That screen up top, even though he missed it, still a really good shot there.
40's going back the other way for SJK. St. John's, Kilmarnock, Breslau, Ontario. We got a timeout from head coach Ahmed Al-Asta. We'll be back just over 7 minutes into the opening quarter, 17-9 for the Express.
We've traveled across the country and back. 6 years running. Canada's basketball talent blossoms right before our eyes. From coast to coast. It's our job to bring it to the light. No gimmicks, just hard work on the hardwood. Who will step up to the plate this summer? Who will make their game undeniable and challenge every man in front of him? Game will speak.
NPH events. There's an opportunity to get involved at the ground level. NPH hosts elite level high school tournaments to national club team championships throughout the course of the season. Now is your chance to get involved with the fastest growing sport in Canada with the industry leaders and influencers.
Back to live game action. 40s from downtown. Coach Ahmed Al-Asta drew up a solid play. Execution, perfect. That helps cutting the lead to 5. SJK definitely wants to make sure this doesn't get away from them early.
You like to see that the ATPs, the after timeout plays, you want to definitely come out if you're SJK here and light a little bit of a fire as St. Laurent misses a layup there. That was a very easy look, just rolled out.
I say about all the programs, all play a different style. Obviously that comes from the coaching, and we have some, oh, that's a tough turnover. Good job, Damjanovic, getting back to break it up. Manu Seni not going to have an easy 2.
You like the hustle there by Damjanovic as he was able to get a hand there, but once again, way too easy as they go to Gamiji, and he finishes inside on just a little bit of a lob pass. Can't have that happening if you're SJK.
I was talking about the programs, and we have some special coaches in this league as well. I've had a chance to interview a majority of them, talk to them off camera as well. All of them, kids first, not even really talking about wins and losses, talking about growing these kids as players and people. Coach Ahmed Al-Asta out of Windsor, Ontario, subscribes to the Detroit Pistons style of play, grew up watching the Pistons, and wants his team to play that way as well. Nothing easy.
Which era of the Pistons are we talking here?
Well, he's about my age, so we're talking 80s, 90s.
I hear you, because those Ben Wallace Pistons were good too.
You know what? That's a good point. I didn't just when someone tells me they're a Pistons guy, like I just immediately have this, this feeling. And yeah, I know you're a good point. I mean, if we're talking about championship Pistons of the Ben Wallace era, either of those teams are a good one for your team to kind of try to copy.
Both physical bruisers, and you see it kind of with SJK's style of play a little bit here and there, but if they want to be anything like those Pistons, they got to get it on the defensive end first.
And that's what I'm excited to see. We're excited to see these players develop, but also just to see the teams come together. Again, SJK just had one well, one NPA game at least before we got up here to the Ottawa session. The Express have been playing a tournament schedule as well.
It's tough as a coach. I mean, you try to prepare as much as possible. You get your guys into the alertness and kind of the anxiety of the whole game situation. You want everyone to have that sense of urgency, but you can never really replicate the game and the environment. That's why they're here, obviously, putting in their games, and also how you see them progress from day one to, or I should say, the start of the season to the end.
Still have a lot of games ahead of us. You can see the schedule on NPAcanada.com. We have the Toronto session coming up January 3rd to 6th. Going to have, I believe, 9 of our teams in Toronto at Crestwood. Roe Russell hosting us there in the northeast portion of Toronto. Nothing like holiday time basketball in the T-Dot.
And you can see right here, SJK, they're doubling the ball there. Their zone defense is really stretched out as Minot puts in a baby hook from the left block with the right hand. They need to kind of converge better on the ball and have one guy pressuring the ball as the rest of the zone follows on a string.
That was one thing Coach Simon had said. He saw that these guys played zone, and he was a little worried. Ooh, nice pass, Keogh. He was a little worried because he doesn't have his shooters, mostly because he has to ask his other guards who are his best shooters now are running the point. So he was a little concerned about facing the SJK zone, but it's amazing what can happen when you have a player like Minot in the middle. If you get it down to him, you can work off of that. You've seen it, cutters off the ball.
I think all teams in the NPA should take notice of this St. Laurent Express team as, missing those 2 guards. These 2 big guys are very talented. They're great on the run. They've shown the ability here early to finish in the paint. And they also bring some size and length to a team that is missing 2 of their main guys.
1-point lead for the Express. 6 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Keogh looking to run off the screen. He's going to have to pull up. Does just that. Well short. 21-20. The Express with a slim lead after 10 minutes. We'll be back. Second quarter action from day 4 of the battle in the capital.
Game today and join NPH in growing basketball in this country. NPH Scouting Service. The NPH Scouting Service is another platform for exposure with a network of over 300 coaches and scouts from some of the most recognizable brands and programs. Our scouts are constantly evaluating talent to ensure accuracy and credibility. NPH Scouting Service.
Rep by rep. You push yourself. Effort is only half the battle. Doubt sets in. Why do you do it? Is it worth it? The lights turn on. All your questions.
Welcome back to Ottawa, Ontario. Jason Tom here alongside Nick Zeffy. Reinforcements have arrived from Toronto for the NPH crew. 7-game schedule after yesterday's 7-game sked. Got got some tasty ones on board for you, but right now it's SJK and St. Laurent. The Express, just outside of Montreal, Quebec is where they make their home. They are here. Both these teams were handed L's yesterday, so both of them want to get their name back in the win column. My apologies, sorry, SJK came out on top yesterday. They lost in their first game of the session.
Big difference here for our viewers that are online on the live stream. As you can see, SJK's zone compared to the St. Laurent Express. I know they've given up now a couple jumpers to Novicic on the baseline, but there's been no contest. Another one there in the corner by SJK. They really need to find out what they're going to do with this corner three, as it's killing them.
Stéphane Bassalet gets to the rim for two. Again, the Express playing without their two top guards, missing about 50 points from this lineup. Ben Datro was a guy we could not wait to see. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer, battling an ankle injury that's lingered for them the last couple of weeks.
And if you're SJK right here, I mean, they're kind of forcing the issue. You want to get runouts just like that. Not really flail into bodies with guys that are standing straight up. There's a point where you want to initiate contact more off the dribble than just simply going in to a defender and the ball being poked and losing possession.
Tied at 26. Nothing like the sound of a shot clock being counted out en français.
Great work by the bench there.
Cleaning up down low, Milan Roknic, one of the top scorers for this team, and SJK now find themselves up two.
I thought that was a good gamble there by Damjanovic. Got called for the foul, but he looks like he's kind of getting a read on Andrew Keogh of the St. Laurent Express. So it's nice to see SJK kind of coming into this second quarter with more of an emphasis on the ball with their pressure.
Ahmed El Asta, very much a solid X's and O's coach. Maybe got through that first quarter, saw what he's going to be able to do offensively. When you have this zone set up, your defenders got to have their arms up. A couple of guys on SJK looking like they're a little tired early in the morning, and you know, they don't have that deep of a bench. And with a tournament like this, so many different games, I know you can talk all you want about, you know, 3 games a day on the AAU schedule. Still a little tough for some of these guys to keep the energy level up at all times.
Oh, definitely. And that's why energy is such a skill, and it's just such a need on a team. When the guys don't want to get up, who's your energy guy? Who's getting them up? Who's making sure that players are boxing out, you know, ball's getting where it needs to go, and everyone's kind of staying in that mindset of, you know, for the next 2 hours, we're 100% focused on the goal.
Especially with the 24-second shot clock, if you don't hustle up on offense, you can get over half court. You haven't even set up your offense, and you got 12 left on the clock.
I'm going to tell you, Jay, Gamiji has really impressed me out here. Right there on the defensive end, he's a great. He's proving to be a very disruptive defender, and on the offensive end, I mean, his footwork. He just showed us a pivot to the left side and then an inside pivot as well, driving with his right hand before eventually kicking it out for a corner 3 miss. But I love his mobility and I love his footwork as of right now. Definitely a prospect that's going to be on my radar for the 2021 class.
So much talent in Quebec. And then St. Laurent is going to host their own miniature session, not an official session on the schedule, but an opportunity for the Northeast Division, the 4 teams there, to be able to play each other in a mini tournament opportunity there, and it's going to be happening in St. Laurent, which I've heard amazing stories of the fan base there. I believe we're going to be streaming some of those games as well, so that will be exciting.
Definitely, Quebec deserves the attention. I know they have great fans, and definitely one of the stronger basketball communities in the entire country.
I've always felt like the people in Quebec know that. It's just kind of the rest of Canada that's catching up. 5:49 to go here in the second quarter. Stay with us. We'll be back to Battle in the Capital, Day 4.
Are answered.
Everyone has their story. What's yours? Were you born with the ball in your hands? Or were you a late bloomer? Are you a dead-eye shooter? Or a high flyer?
Throws up an alley-oop! All elbow! Williams!
Are you a leader? Or an elite role player? North Pole Hoops wants to know, what's your story?
Angos will shoot another three, his third triple already.
I'm a retired teacher.
All right, SJK with a 2-point lead in live game action. Meadow Asta saying you can't do that, and it results in a turnover.
Another turnover here, and St. Laurent has absolutely thrived in the transition as they've been able to speed SJK up. I mean, I really want you to pay attention to the zone defense here. They go to a kind of a little dummy half court right there, and another steal, another layup. SJK has to protect the ball. They got to get a guy in the middle, but also use the sidelines to bring the rock up.
And Stephane Basselet, who had a little chat with his head coach in that timeout. Who knows what he said to him? Maybe he was talking about jumping into those passing lanes, because those cross-court passes from SJK have just not been sharp enough.
You'd like to see SJK play inside out as well. They're kind of just playing on the outside, and by inside out I don't mean pounding it into the paint and getting your points, your 2-pointers inside, but just seeing the ball get into the paint, having the defense crash, looking for the options on the outside, 2-3 passes on the wings, and then a 3-point shot. You're not going to win many games that way.
The old make sure you touch the paint before you take a shot mentality.
Yes, sir.
You've seen the drills in practice a million times.
It's just so valuable to get that ball inside of the paint. Just like that, I mean, the mid-range game is just such a lost art. It's a catch-22 for the defense. Am I going to come up and play him, or am I going to kind of see what the other options are? The NBA has gone to kind of a 3 and layup league now, though. And as the 3-point percentages have continued to go up in the NBA, free throw attempts and percentages are also down. So we kind of see it on our end in grassroots basketball. But right now, Novicic is absolutely cooking on that left block.
Really no answer right now from the Express on that end of the floor for Novicic. How many cross-court passes have we seen picked off here this morning?
And with one hand, too. There's another one right on cue. You got to be a lot more fundamentally sound than that, and really pick up on kind of what's going on in the game. I mean, those passes are not working right now. Got to make the adjustments.
4-point lead for the Express. This has been a tight game throughout. I think this 7-game sked, every one of them are going to be hotly contested games. as we have all 12 teams that will be here at the session in town.
You feel like at this point, most teams would know each other. You know, the scouting report should be there more or less.
There's been enough video, you're right. Yep.
You should know what you're going up against, who you're going up against, what you want to play, what you want to force on the defensive end, what you want to accomplish on the offensive end, and how your game structure and the entire game plan is going to go through from the first to the fourth quarter. You should know which teams are kind of good out of timeout situations and which teams are good on their half-court sets or transition types. So definitely competition level, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the 7 games today, will be high.
$9 a.m. was our first tip-off. 7:15 is our final tip-off of the day. You got a lot of basketball to watch, and all these games you'll be able to catch on NorthPoleHoops.com, North Pole Hoops YouTube page. Be able to watch them after the fact if you have a chance. I would definitely take a look at that LBA Central Tech game from Thursday.
Floater game.
I know you watched that one from back home in Toronto. That was an outstanding basketball game.
Yeah, it definitely was down the stretch. Loved what both teams were able to do. But at the end, Sullivan, he had guys on skates. I mean, his quicks, his crossover, how low he gets, and the different foot positions. I mean, he's got crossovers with his toe dragging. He's got crossovers with his entire heel dragging. He's quick as a cat.
I think Raheem Sullivan will start hearing some knocks at his door. Big jam. Milan Roknic off a shiny dime from Damjanovic. But yeah, I think you're going to hear a couple knocks at the door from some JUCO colleges for Raheem Sullivan.
Oh, definitely. They'd be crazy not to. On that last play, that was one of the first times we've seen the cross court actually work. So these guys are not going away from it. They're going to try to make it work. I don't know if that's the best thing to do. But on a side note, SJK, the reason they're kind of still in this thing is they've kind of eliminated those corner threes that we've seen in the first quarter from St. Laurent. If you're St. Laurent, you want to kind of go back to those corners. It was their bread and butter so far in the game. I felt like they had some good momentum, shooting the three and also attacking baseline. Terrible pass there.
Kids, if passing isn't your top skill, no need to look away. No need for a no-look pass. Just deliver it on time, on target. Seen a little too much of that at this level.
The jump pass as well, right? You're leaving your feet and you're making this pass. Definitely, you know, fake it before you make it. Fake the pass, make a fundamental two-handed pass. Just get it past half court, guys.
The Riverhawks have arrived in the gym. They will be second on the schedule. Rothsay Netherwood taking on Beast Prep out of Hamilton. Novicic has had himself a first half.
I love what Novicic has done, but on some of those finishes, I'd love to see the left hand. He's gone solely to the right hand. A couple possessions back, he missed some chippies. You want to see him go with the left hand, and St. Laurent is still attacking from the three-point line relentlessly.
Usama Malouf from downtown for a 2-point St. Laurent lead. Timeout on the floor. The Express want to finish this quarter in solid fashion. Stay with us, under a minute to go in the first half.
Bembry handling it. Cross court to Pangos for three, and Kevin knocks it down.
I read a book called Outliers, and it talked about why people need people around them to take advantage of in order to succeed at the highest levels. That same summer, Kevin was chosen as the youngest member of the national team. Kevin might be an outlier. Kevin was playing for A Game Hoops, which is a team that Kyle Julius ran, and Kevin was on the team as a high school player. And I was coaching at the University of Guelph, and Kevin was lighting us up. And I'm loving this because I've loved Kevin since he was a kid. but I'm also hating it because we're getting drilled by this team. And Chris leans over to me and says, that guy can't miss. And I went, title. Because it says about what Kevin's life's about is whatever happens to him, he just rolls with it. And we all need to learn from that. A failure is just a part of success. And that's the way he really, really views it. So if you have that attitude, honestly, you can't miss.
Bembry handling it. Cross court to Pangos for three.
Has to back out. Now he's got a little space to operate. Nice pass. Wow. Oh, what a nice pass.
Kevin read a book called Long Shot, a story about Steve Nash. I can connect it with Steve's story a lot, not comparing them, but just the whole idea that when Nash won the MVP, the next day, his first MVP, the next day he says, now I really have to prove myself. And that's what the good ones do, is they're constantly striving for better and better and better. And you know, kids that are grade 9, grade 10, they're very good, but they're just starting.
Started it before you actually touched it. 56 seconds.
Just gotta check the clock here. 51.9 to go in the first half. Been a tight game throughout. Right now, it's St. Laurent with a 2-point lead.
St. Laurent is going to want, they got about 18 on the shot clock here. Kind of a situation. Actually, they're going to reset it to 24. So if you're the Express, I think you want to, they've done a good job here of going inside out, but SJK has changed to a man-to-man out of the timeout, and that was a bailout shot there. SJK, you want to kind of head into the half. I think they're a little fortunate to be where they are, just kind of get it done solidly.
40's picked up his dribble there for no reason, and that really hurt what SJK was trying to do. Then we got a timeout. SJK side, 25.8 to go. Stay with us. We'll be back to Ottawa, Ontario.
Come on, yellow.
And now Pangos from straight away. Hit another three. His sixth of the first half.
I think the biggest thing about Kevin, highly skilled, but his values are very, very solid. Home-schooled value sort of thing. Of his grandparents taught him a lot. His uncle taught him a lot. Bill and Patty, his parents, obviously played a huge role, and he's very, very value-based. Everybody that you talk to that played with Kevin or coached Kevin will tell you exactly the same thing. Just a great kid, very, very grounded, never got full of himself, always worked.
Pangos will shoot another three, his third triple already.
I'm a retired teacher. I coached at a whole bunch of different levels throughout the player delivery system in Canada. Involved myself at the provincial level as head coach of Team Ontario from 1994 to 97. Coached at the university level, University of Guelph for 7 years, high school coach, and I'm now an author. And I'm an author of a book called Can't Miss, a story about Kevin Pangos. But the angle that I'm bringing about the book is that I'm a basketball coach who wrote a book. So the delivery of the book encapsulates everything.
Bembry handling it. Cross court to Pangos for three, and Kevin knocks it down.
I read a book called Outliers, and it talked about why people need people around them to take advantage of in order to succeed at the highest levels. That same summer, Kevin was chosen as the youngest member of the national team. Kevin might be an outlier. Kevin was playing for A-game hoops.
2.5 second difference between game clock and shot clock. SJK trying to finish the half on a positive note. That's been a positive note for them. Alex Novicic with just 7 seconds left on the clock now. 41-40 SJK. The Express will not be happy that they're down a point because they had a disappointing loss yesterday, but we've got a tight game. Second half should be fun. Stay with us. Jason Tom alongside Nick Zeffy will be back. Second half action in just a couple of minutes.
Well, Central Tech, it's the historic look, that castle feel. It's a gauntlet. You walk past and you just, whoa, you look up, and the reputation that comes with it, it has that feel, it has that effect. Being in downtown Toronto, it is what it is. You're gonna get everything, right? So all the distractions are gonna happen. All the excitement's going to be there. Any little thing happens in school, it's newsworthy because you're a downtown school, right? So we have to get past all those distractions and focus in and dial in what we're supposed to do inside this gym. Do we play with a chip? We make it so.
We're a grit and grind team. Like, we're like underdogs. So like, we play like, even though we're up 20, we play like we're down 20.
We try to break the neck of the other teams. Once we have our foot on the gas, like, we try not to let go. If you're a hard worker, if you have nothing to lose, if you're gonna put it all on the line every night, then you could come play on Central Tech.
I'm praying that they take on my personality. I got a smile and I laugh and I joke outside of the game, but inside the game, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, and I'm fierce. And that's how we're developing right now.
Stop relying on what we did in the years past or the games past. It's now, yes?
And when we get to be that, tenacious group, that loud group, that aggressive group, great things happen.
That style and structure is making Central Tech a destination basketball school for players like Matthew Daves, who joined the Blues for his senior season.
I knew the coaches and I knew how their style of training was. And I thought that I'd fit in here well. It just brings up like a certain tone to how I'm doing everything. So like every single rep is more important now. Being Filipino, it's a bit different. Like, people look at me a different way when I'm playing. They're not going to see someone like me, like an Asian person, play the way that I play usually.
How do you play?
I'm in the air a long time, just to say that.
In Season 2 of the National Preparatory Association, Jeffers will look to his returning seniors to lead the team on and off the court, which also prepares them for the next level.
Me being the oldest, it puts a lot of responsibility on my back, because coach, he tells me to always watch out for the guys, make sure everyone's good. Because after I leave here, coaches in other schools, they look at the kind of person you are off the court before on the court. They want to know what you could do in school. They want to know what you could do in a group of people if you're going to be communicating. All my friends back home, they really think I've changed a lot, and they said it's for the better too.
Coach Jeffers is an amazing guy. He taught me a lot because he's been coaching me since young, been watching me play growing up, playing basketball at the community center. And he just been there for me. Changed me a lot because before I wasn't really doing the stuff that I need to do to go to the next level. Since I came here, I started getting the support, the help that I needed to succeed, school-wise and basketball-wise. He prepares me to be a man.
The good will follow the good, the bad will follow the bad. But if people see the good in you, they're going to make sure and push you to that stream. Central Tech is labeled. It's no chance that I'm here trying to change that label, try to bring forward a better understanding of who it is and what the school is about. Well, Central Tech, it's the historic look, that castle feel. It's a gauntlet. You walk past and you just, whoa.
History has been made in Canadian basketball.
From the Maritimes to the nation's capital.
I just like the sound.
Brady Cancun, my goodness.
To the 6.
Oh, big block there.
To the prairies.
By Jashawn Henry.
All the way to British Columbia. This is the NPA.
One-hand jam! All over the defense! My Lord! Goodness gracious! Campbell with the facial. Oh! E-man! Defense to offense.
Cummins, that is not
way.
the guy.
No way!
Cummins.
Another good one. There is Sammy Hunter. And that was it. Oh, my Lord.
And look at this. Danilo Jiricic ending his high school career with a dagger of a spike.
GTA prep wisely feeding the hot hand. Oh, nice. Step back, cross through, and we got Sidney Kabongo on fire right now. Oh! How about that nasty from Jashawn Henry?
Stick back, Joe. Chris Hagan.
Knock back.
Oh! Bringing the fans to their feet. Putting a man in the rim.
In transition with the cock back, one hand pounded. Woo! DeAndre Pierre all over the rim. Oh! Down the lane, Stephen Rawwire.
Everybody on their feet as Canada Top Flight Academy are the first high school age national champions in the history of Canadian basketball.
And the reputation that comes with it, it has that feeling.
RJ Barrett.
I wanna fly, can you take me far away? Give me a star to reach for, tell me what it takes, and I'll go so high, my feet won't touch the ground. Just hitch my wings and pull the strings. I bought these strings that all fall down.
The nice thing about him is he's a basketball player. There is no position defined for him. He's learning the skills. He's learning the skills of playing the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the guard at all the positions.
The last thing what makes RJ Jr. so special is that he wants to be special. He's willing to do the work to become special. He's open to learning. He has his flaws like everyone else does, but he recognizes his flaws. He knows he can keep working on them, and he's never satisfied even with his own strengths as a basketball player. So that's what makes him special.
Number 7, Laurent Jr.
That's my boy. He never stopped seeking to amaze me. And when we were in the game, like, I could tell what he was gonna do. I was like, he's my boy. I'm gonna just let him, show out. So, but the chemistry's really good. We're roommates right now and everything. So.
I call him a professional scorer. That's definitely going to translate to the NBA game. He's relentless on getting around you and getting to the basket and getting to the foul lines. And that's what I respect about him. I'm a huge fan of his.
We're back, 41-40. SJK with a slim lead behind 22 points from Alex Novicic for the Express. Stephon Basilet leading the way with 13. Trayvon Minot with 10. And Arnaud Gamaji started off strong with 8 first quarter points, but has went pretty silent since then.
Couple things on both ends. Novicic, we're going to see if he could continue to put up this torrid space. The great thing with him is he's so efficient, and he's a very low maintenance player. I mean, you find him in his spots and he can knock it down. So I see him having a big game here in the second half. And from the St. Laurent Express point of view, I like their bigs right now, except for that turnover there, but their bigs look like they can really control this game moving forward.
They got numbers on this end. Pulling up from the wing, count it. Long 2?
Yes, I think it was marked as a 2. And a jump ball will be called there. Ball going to St. Laurent Express.
Just double checking the score, and SJK with a 43-42 lead. Yeah, what I've liked about Novicic not only what he's been able to do, but his teammates have gotten him the ball. The old on time on target, and the target for a guy that size is give him the ball right at the chin, because all he's had to do is catch it at the chin, put it up 2 inches, and the shot's off.
Just like you used to do.
Exactly, right? The good old pick and pop game on a Central Peel. Shut out Brampton. Shut out late 90s Brampton.
You were giving us the old war stories last night.
Yep. Everybody now knows about the career high 13 points against Humberview. All the coaches in the league.
It was a hard-fought 13 points.
It really was. It was a breakout performance. The first and last game.
Kind of hot potato there. Who wants it? Who's going to get on the floor? SJK will get this ball as St. Laurent got the last jump ball.
And really to a man outside of, you know, Tepper's boiling over a little bit a couple of times. I've seen a lot of opponents helping opponents up. A lot of daps between opponents. I mean, yesterday we saw just Sean Henry just getting blasted by LBA down the stretch. I mean, Jordan Henry is the strongest kid I've seen at this level, maybe ever. And you know, he took a lot of hits, and then down the stretch they had some intentional fouls to try to, you know, shorten the game, or sorry, prolong the game. And even at the end of that, I mean, LBA was going up to him and saying, you know, hey, you know, we had to do it type thing. So it was really nice to see that competitive spirit, but at the same time, everybody knows this is just a game of basketball, and we're all here for the same thing.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, you want to see the competitive spirit, but everything has to be clean. Keeping it clean and having the kids definitely understand that this is a family that they're growing into, and just like a family, everyone pushes each other, but you pick each other up when you fall.
Well put, Nick Zeffie.
Hey.
Take that for the inspirational highlight reel, Mike Dotto.
Great move there on the and one by Dam Jonovic. Love that last name, by the way.
Just rolls off the tongue. Bronco started this NPA season
on fire.
On fire. Yeah. He's
back-to-back 37s.
Yep. He's cooled off a little bit. I think that was, you know, as the team was getting used to it, you just ride the hot hand when you see it. And I mean, he was just rolling from range. And then, like you mentioned, these teams kind of see each other a bit. You know, after seeing that tape, I think teams started kind of focusing in on him a little bit. And just like that, Novicic finds himself with like 24 points right now, a couple minutes into the third quarter.
It's nice to see SJK feeding the hot hand, whether it's Novicic, whether it's Damjanovic. I mean, you love to see that unselfishness from the team as a whole. And I think it'll definitely bolster the entire kind of chemistry behind the team as well. If you're able, as a guy that's hot, if you're able to get the ball and your teammates are able to give you the ball, and they also have that trust that the ball will swing their way in multiple possessions moving forward, that's where you really build that trust.
SJK has extended their lead to 6. One of the largest leads of the game thus far. Why not? Just ran out of space on the baseline, coughed it up, but they get it back. Keogh will go to the line to shoot 2.
I like Yo on the pick and rolls here. I think he's made some good decisions. Just hasn't seen the ball go in as much as you'd like to see. He's gotten some good mid-range shots as well as some three-pointers. So let's see if these free throws kind of get his shooting stroke in the right fashion, as I would definitely like to see him continue on with the aggression that he's shown.
What I've seen, you know, we've talked about Trayvon Minot a lot. I mean, he's still a young kid, and I feel like the conditioning isn't quite there yet. He seems to have to take an awful lot of breaks to catch his breath, which I mean is fine with a guy his size still growing into his body. But you do see the difference. Like Novicic is definitely an older individual, and he doesn't need as many breaks. And I think also, I feel with Novicic, he finds his spots to take his breathers on the floor. I think when you play that zone, you're giving your big man that opportunity as well.
Wily vet, if we can say that, right?
Novicic at the high school level, you're right.
That's it. He's been there, done that. He kind of knows where his spots are, while a guy like Minot is kind of, he's learning the ropes more or less, and he definitely, like you said, looked out of breath a couple times, and he's not as fluid in his running style as of right now.
Yeah, when you mentioned Gamaji, the way that he ran was so I'd never really heard that, explaining the running style of a player. But you're right, if a guy doesn't have that fluid motion yet, no fault of his own, purely by his body catching up, or sorry, his physics catching up with his body. But yeah, if you don't have that proper running style down, you're burning an awful lot of energy just to get up and down the floor, right?
And that's what we're seeing, right? So it's something that you don't want to take too much into consideration to bring it to the NBA level. A guy like Miles Turner, Indiana Pacers big man, he was passed up by a couple teams because of his quote-unquote running style. Well, I think a lot of those teams would like that pick back. He's an absolute monster. So you definitely look into it. I mean, it's not the be-all or end-all. A lot of these other kids have different coordination in their game. So it's definitely something you monitor, but I don't think it's that important.
No, but I think it's a good explainer for people out there. When you see a younger kid, to understand that is actually something that can cause the player to get to the bench a little bit earlier. Exactly. And then you can also say to yourself, yeah, well, let's look at him in a year, and that will probably be different. Right?
Exactly.
You don't want to judge these kids or write them off or say anything too early that could be negative in that aspect, but I think it's really good to kind of point it out like you have been doing. Very impressed with the basketball knowledge of one Nick Zeffy.
Oh, come on.
On the broadcast for the first time.
Gonna make me blush.
Sorry, on the first time with myself.
And I like that take by Gamaji. And he grabs it on the mid-post area, and he reverse pivots, goes inside, extends with the right hand over the outstretched arms. Beautiful finish.
Novicic over there in the corner just begging for the ball.
He had his hands right at his chin.
Yeah.
He was ready. He was ready.
Yeah.
The catapult was pulled back. No ammo, though.
I think he's played pretty much the whole game at this point.
Well, with the first half like he had, I mean, he was definitely a spark plug for SJK. He scored more than half of their points. So he's definitely a guy that coach needs to keep in there. And he keeps everyone honest with his shooting and his basketball IQ.
Routnich missing a good chance to help extend their lead. The Express making sure that they stay in this game. I think it's going to be tight throughout. A lot of handoff or dribble handoff, not leading to much penetration.
There's St. Laurent, kept the ball exclusively on the left side of the floor. You'd like to see a full swing to the other side and have the defense work over. I know it was late in the shot clock, but it looked like they could have got a better shot on the right side.
Nice pass, and they get Novicic back involved on the offensive end.
Great lead on the move. Novicic, soft hands, good old reliable with the finish.
You haven't seen an awful lot from Osama Malouf today, but what you have seen has been a couple of pure strokes from range.
And this is a really young St. Laurent team, a lot of 2020s to 2022s. Don't see a lot of seniors on their roster, so definitely some guys that can step up to the spotlight and kind of have breakout games. Still learning a lot about themselves as players, right?
Absolutely, and you never like to see them to be without, one of their star players, Ben Datro, especially at the position he plays. And there we go again. Malouf has got the stroke going from downtown. But yeah, having a guy like Ben Datro out at this point, you get to see what you have with your other guys, and they get to play invaluable minutes against some high-level competition. It's only going to make them better down the road.
Exactly, and it'll all be things that they've seen before, more or less. Let's see where St. Laurent goes here. I think they're thinking hot hand is definitely the best one to feed.
And that's Slyman, head coach Slyman on the sideline screaming for Maloof to come around, running off some screens. He wants to get him the rock. I think that's what's going to be talked about in the timeout. But the Express find themselves back up a point. Timeout on the floor, 2:02 to go. We'll be back.
Scouting Service is another platform for exposure, with a network of over 300 coaches and scouts from some of the most recognizable brands and programs. Our scouts are constantly evaluating talent to ensure accuracy and credibility.
Rep by rep. You push yourself. Effort is only half the battle. Doubt sets in. Why do you do it? Is it worth it? The lights turn on. All your questions are answered.
Back here in Ottawa, SJK bringing the ball in, looking to break this half-court kind of dummy press by St. Laurent. Haven't been able to really penetrate it as of yet. Lots of turnovers, lots of deflected passes as well.
You know what I like about the Express? Every player, when they enter the game and when they're in the game, have their jerseys tucked in.
Discipline.
I've seen so many times, I'm not going to call anybody out, coming to the table, jerseys untucked, always ref says tuck in your jersey, and then you get this half tuck in, like this, you can't tell me to tuck my jersey in, I'm just going to tuck in half the jersey because I'm not going to tuck in the full jersey.
Is it the front half tuck in or the back half tuck in?
I've seen both.
Both,
yeah.
Okay. I was definitely a back half tuck in type of guy. I found with shooting the ball, it just was a lot easier getting it up there.
And hey, if that's it, all more power to you guys. It's just body language. I mean, you have scouts and coaches watching you at all times.
All eyes, and that's one thing that Canadian players are definitely going to start learning is the times of you not being watched 24/7 are not here anymore. Like guys are looking for Canadian prospects and Canadian talent at all levels, and they're definitely, all eyes are on them at any given time.
And the top programs that you want to play for at the next level, that's what they care about.
Yes.
Body language,
yes,
having things tight, showing that you care at all moments. You know, we talk about, you know, being engaged on the bench. Having your jersey tucked in when you get to the table is the same thing.
Programs will develop your basketball aspect. They want to. I've had so many coaches just ask me about players as people.
Yep.
How is he? How is he with his friends? How is he with the peers? How is the body language? Is a massive one. You know, when he's up 10, how does he act? When he's down 20, how is he acting? Things like that. So, I mean, it's in your everyday life, and players are kind of, I mean, programs are getting players, not for their personality and kind of what they bring to the table at that aspect. Basketball side, they said, don't worry, we'll teach them that.
And I think the other thing too is, like, how do they interact with everybody? How do they interact when they're on the bench? How do they interact when, you know, the 11th guy, you know, 6th coming off the bench hits a 3?
Exactly.
How are they interacting with the opposing coach? Are they interacting with the refs? Because they probably shouldn't be.
Yes.
If they do, maybe asking to try to make themselves better. I mean, a perfect example of that is a Dave Laurent date again. I mean, this guy, the interactions with his own coach, interactions with opposing coaches, talking to officials, like this guy gets it on every different level.
There's definitely a kind of a professionalism and a tone that you have to take.
SJK finishing the quarter strong. The Express get one more crack at it. They're down 3. We got a tight one, folks, through 3, 56-53. SJK, stay with us. We'll be back to Ottawa, Ontario, the battle in the capital, day 4 of 5.
Pangos will shoot another 3, his 3rd triple already.
I'm a retired teacher. I coached at a whole bunch of different levels throughout the player delivery system in Canada. Involved myself at the provincial level as head coach of Team Ontario from 1994 to 97. Coached at the university level, University of Guelph for 7 years, high school coach, and I'm now an author. And I'm an author of a book called Can't Miss, a story about Kevin Pangos. But the angle that I'm bringing about the book is that I'm a basketball coach who wrote a book. So the delivery of the book encapsulates everything that's Canada basketball is all about.
Pangos will shoot another 3, his 3rd triple already.
Bembry handling it cross court to Pangos for 3, and Kevin knocks it down.
I read a book called Outliers, and it talked about why people need people around them to take advantage of in order to succeed at the highest levels. That same summer, Kevin was chosen as the youngest member of the national team. Kevin might be an outlier. Kevin was playing for A-Game Hoops, which is a team that Kyle Julius ran, and Kevin was on the team as a high school player. And I was coaching at the University of Guelph, and Kevin was lighting us up. And I'm loving this because I've loved Kevin since he was a kid, but I'm also hating it because we're getting drilled by this team. And Chris leans over to me and says, "That guy can't miss." And I went, "Title." Because it says about what Kevin's life's about is whatever happens to him, he just rolls with it. And we all need to learn from that. A failure is just a part of success. And that's the way he really, really views it. So if you have that attitude, honestly, you can't miss.
Pangos has to back out. Now he's got a little space to operate. Nice pass. Wow. Oh, what a nice pass.
Kevin read a book called Long Shot, a story about Steve Nash. I can connect it with Steve's story a lot, not comparing them, but just the whole idea that when Nash won the MVP.
About to kick off the 4th quarter between St. John's Kilmarnock out of Breslau, Ontario, and the St. Laurent Express out of St. Laurent, Quebec.
So, if you're ever in that Breslau area, they have got some great kind of Amish communities in that Waterloo area.
Yep.
And I'm a big all-natural type of meat guy. They have some great steaks out there that you could get right off kind of the farm in like a marketplace sort of atmosphere. So if you're ever out there, check it out.
Antibiotic-free, grass-fed meat.
Free range.
Free range.
I was out there for university, so I definitely made my way. Proud Laurier alum, so I definitely was in that Waterloo area a lot.
Andy Beckler, Sir Wilfrid Laurier grad as well. We're a football player. Shout out, Andy. I know you're not listening. I shouldn't be shouting you out right now. He's got 2 kids. Has an SID job right now, so he's a busy guy.
Hey, as long as he's a Golden Hawk, we'll accept him on the broadcast here.
3-point lead. SJK looking to pick up their 2nd win of the session. St. Laurent just arrived yesterday afternoon. They've got a couple more games coming up over the final day and a half here. Minot can't get it to go.
You love that work by Minot, but you see where he's definitely still learning his body there. Nice drop step. You want to see him clear a bit more space with the elbows, with the shoulders. Not offensive foul, obviously, but just kind of pushing guys off of their center of gravity and then finishing over the defense with the right hand, spinning to the middle.
9 a.m. start for these 2 teams. But you definitely have seen the compete level high. Hasn't been a lot of possessions taken off.
Overall, I think it's been kind of a sloppy game on both ends. I think both coaches will definitely want to go back to the tape here. Besides listening to us, they definitely want to look into how their players kind of dealt with pressure and dealt with the ball. Oh, nice three there from SJK as they push their lead up to 6. But they definitely want to look into how they're kind of forcing the ball into these trouble areas, the corners, and they're being doubled, or using these sidelines against them when they're bringing the ball up. Always bring the ball up the middle.
Ooh, Fordyce has it sent back. Arnaud Gamagi getting it done at both ends of the floor today.
Gamagi meets him right at the peak there, took it right out of his hands, didn't even let him bring it up.
Nope.
He said, I'm taking this right out of your hands there, kid.
Tee it up for me. Novicic loves that baseline jumper.
So Novicic definitely very comfortable on the pivot, turn, shoot. You want to get a couple dribbles in if you're the St. Laurent Express, see if he can make that shot with as much efficiency.
Gamagi seemed to rush that shot a little bit. We were talking about Novicic getting the ball high and keeping it high. I think Gamagi there brought it down, and that kind of threw off the mechanics and the timing.
Bringing it up kind of from the waist level up to your head, it eliminates the seconds as well, right on that quick release. I like to tell kids to kind of combat that, you got to be in that ready shooting position, how Novicic is. Now, if that means you're bending your knees and jumping up a lot higher, do that. Novicic doesn't jump that high. He's just ready at every point to get the ball, shoot it.
8-point lead now for St. John's Kilmarnock.
Gamagi with another miss there inside. St. Laurent big men having a little bit of trouble finishing here as another cross-court pass goes weary. Out of bounds, St. Laurent ball.
Just coming up on 3 minutes into the fourth quarter of our first of 7 games here this afternoon. Or I guess this morning moving into tonight. Gamagi corrects everything we saw wrong on his last shot by connecting there.
Great confidence, nice pivot, great follow through.
Bodies hitting the floor everywhere.
Strong finish.
8-point lead, SJK. Express have some opportunities on offense, but they need to get some stops on defense before this game gets away from them.
That was a great pass into the mid-range area. I would have liked to see a bounce pass as Gamagi was open down low. St. Laurent not wasting any time. They're going to take the timeout. Stuck 8, 6 minutes left here in Ottawa.
Yet again, a 10-point advantage restored for Team Blue. Oh! It's Judy Charges throwing it down!
Welcome to the NPH live broadcasting experience. Allow our team of video technicians to capture your event in high definition. Streaming directly on all NPH media platforms. Up-to-the-minute live game coverage featuring professional commentators and analysts.
Tip in! No good! 2 seconds to go! Oh!
Commercial spots available to promote and market your brand, event, or product. Enjoy the ultimate way to catch the game when you can't.
That man from Quebec can fly!
Exposure starts here.
Let's keep it going. Keep the intensity high.
Get your feet square, get your feet square. Take it home, write it down, grab a homie, and work on it. Work on it, master it.
AJ Lawson, go! He gets it to go! Wow!
Pick it up, Jalen.
Oh my God!
Top 10, top 10.
Two-way players are the best players. Understand that. Two-way players are the best players.
Here's Sabri Phillip, two-hand jam!
Let's go, boy!
It doesn't matter from what city you're from, how tall you are, what school, what club you represent. Game speaks. There's no politics here.
.6:04 to go in the fourth quarter. A 10-point lead for SJK. They're looking for their second win of the session. Give it up for Arnaud Gamaji. He is showing us a lot. Nick Zeffy impressed with his first game here, looking at this kid.
Definitely, and he looks like he's taking a bit out of this guy's page, this guy's book, Novicic. He's just turning, facing up, shooting. If you're Novicic at this point, I mean, you got to pressure him a little and kind of get him to put that ball on the floor. He's shown the ability to hit that spot up mid-range jumper a la LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh, nice. LA shutout.
He's definitely not watching.
No. He may watch it though on YouTube, on our North Pole Hoops YouTube page, because you'll be able to find all these games there, archives from the session. You know, I know he's a little busy and on the time zone switch, probably wouldn't watch it, but maybe after the fact.
Terrible foul there. Was it a technical or unsportsmanlike?
For the undercut?
I believe he said undercut or hold. I didn't hear him. Maybe on the clear path? Questionable call. I mean, within the rule books, it's probably the right one. It's just where, was it the undercut or was it a hold or clear path there? Either way, they missed the free throw.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you subscribe to the Ball Don't Lie theory, then we're good.
Rasheed Wallace is happy.
Yeah, but Express do get the ball back, so it's a helpful opportunity. They need to capitalize, though. There's the scouting from Coach Akram. Sorry, Coach Ahmed Olsa screaming out shooter. He knows what he has told his team and who to watch out for on the perimeter.
A lot of shuffle one-handed passes there on the baseline. Kind of a European flavor to the game. Cutting baseline, trying to go cross-court, or just handing it off to your big man. Hasn't been that effective for either team, but nonetheless, they're still going to it. That's going to be a difficult call for the ref, but they do say it stays with St. Laurent Express.
One on the shot clock. I wonder how many times officials look at the shot clock and go, yeah, okay, we'll stay. We'll stay with the team that has the ball right now. Yeah. I was saying that was going to have to be a tip shot, and Novicic wasn't going to be able to get that off.
No, not at all.
So leads down to 6, 4:40 to go. It's been tight throughout. Would be no surprise that this was a one-possession game down the stretch.
And not a lot of fouls. Only 2 team fouls for St. Laurent and then 1 for SJK. So not really a bonus situation. If you're St. Laurent, right now is a good time to kind of be aggressive, go for steals. You've got a lot of team fouls to give up. So, you know, going out there and kind of gambling on a couple things wouldn't be the worst, as later on in the game you might have to go to the extending the game type of play where you're putting these guys intentionally on the free throw line.
Oh, they got a jump ball, and that's going to stay with SJK. Yeah, the first half was the same way. You got to the end of the first half, and I think both teams had 3 team fouls. So it's been a fairly clean game in that aspect.
Refs letting them play as SJK and Coach Ahmed El Asta will call a timeout here. 65-59, 3:57 left here in the fourth quarter. We'll be back from Ottawa.
And now Pangos from straight away. Hit another 3. His 6th of the first half.
I think the biggest thing about Kevin, highly skilled, but his values are very, very solid. Home-schooled value sort of thing. Of his grandparents taught him a lot. His uncle taught him a lot. Bill and Patty, his parents, obviously played a huge role, and he's very, very value-based. Everybody that you talk to that played with Kevin or coached Kevin will tell you exactly the same thing. Just a great kid, very, very grounded, never got full of himself, always works hard and wants more and more and more.
Everyone has their story. What's yours? Were you born with the ball in your hands? Or were you a late bloomer? Are you a dead-eye shooter? Or a high flyer? Throws up an alley-oop! All elbow! Williams! Are you a leader? Or an elite role player? North Pole Hoops wants to know, what's your story?
.357 to go here. Fourth quarter action between SJK and St. Laurent.
So St. Laurent in the man-to-man here, opting out of the zone. Tough defense. They got to finish it off, and they don't, as they foul Damjanovic, and he's able to go and one with the right-hand hook over the left shoulder.
That was a big-time play in what we call winning time. Damjanovic, who's been pretty silent today, converts a three-point play. Definitely had a feeling coming out of that timeout with St. Laurent playing man, as you mentioned. They had a little bit more energy. I think everybody felt like, as I mentioned, this is winning time. It's time to step up, and that's a guy who stepped up all game long. Arnaud Gamaji, loving that mid-range game from the big man.
He's just turning and shooting. And there he comes with the steel long arms of Gamaji. Gets the steal, but SJK here on the run as they force St. Laurent into the turnover. Easy and one finish, back-to-back and ones. That's a 6-0 run.
Oussama Malouf with a ill-advised foul at that point. You either got to foul him hard enough that he can't get the shot off. You definitely don't want to just swing wildly like that.
A lot of players look to hit the ball in that situation, I mean, but at the end of the day, these guys are so strong relatively to this type of an atmosphere, right? I'm not calling them bodybuilders or anything, but you got to definitely wrap them up safely. Don't let them get the shot off, and just live with your odds at the free throw line as the SJK gets another steal here.
Ooh, almost packed it.
Would you go for the dunk here in a close game? Tough decision there.
Yeah, and they get it right back, so his head coach won't have enough time to think about that to get angry.
I'm of the theory that you go and you get the 2 points.
Corner three. Jimmy Omino. Novicic comes down with it. Oh, you'd like to see him burn a little bit more time off of a somewhat fresh shot clock there, but
definitely.
That's the guy to get the ball to. Gamaji miss. Keogh brings it down. Manu Seni. Well, that's our first shuffle feet travel of the day after probably a baker's dozen yesterday.
It's just unfortunate as Seni had Gamaji running down the lane. It looked like an easy 2 points for players that are looking into that kind of side dribble there. Definitely you got to get low and put the ball on the floor first. But the #1 thing is the lower you are, the least likely you are to travel.
Trayvon Minot gets in for the first time in a long time. Under 2 minutes to go, down 9. The Express have a lot of work to do, and they're up against it right now. Figure one more basket from SJK, but that's not happening. Step out of bounds. The window is left open a crack. 1:40 to go, 70-61. SJK will be back with the conclusion of this game, game 1 of 7, day 4, the battle in the capital.
Everyone has their story. What's yours? Were you born with the ball in your hands? Or were you a late bloomer? Are you a dead-eye shooter? Or a high flyer?
Throws up an alley-oop! All elbow! Williams!
Are you a leader? Or an elite role player? North Pole Hoops wants to know, what's your story?
Pangos will shoot another 3, his 3rd triple already.
I'm a retired teacher. I coached at a whole bunch of different levels throughout the player delivery system in Canada. Involved myself at the provincial level as head coach of Team Ontario from 1994 to 97. Coached at the university level, University of Guelph for 7 years. High school coach, and I'm now an author. And I'm an author of a book called Can't Miss, a story about Kevin Pangos. But the angle that I'm bringing about the book is that I'm a basketball coach who wrote a book.
Back to live game action. St. Laurent needs to make it work on this trip. Swing, Keogh almost loses it, and he does. SJK an opportunity to put this one away, and it'll be Branko Damjanovic going to the line.
It's funny the way the game's kind of progressed. So St. Laurent, at the beginning, they were able to find the corners. They were able to kind of penetrate into the paint or get the ball into the paint and swing it back out, hit some threes, or get some penetration off of the corner, get some paint touches and paint finishes. Now, here in the 4th quarter, they can't seem to even get the ball past a certain part of the front court. They're turning it over consistently. And SJK on the other end, although they've turned it over a handful of times as well, they're a lot more fluid. And we're seeing St. Laurent not being able to kind of stop them with the same type of intensity and the same type of efficiency that they did in the first half, albeit not big points. It wasn't a big point stretch on St. Laurent's part. They were up a couple here and there, but that's kind of been the difference is SJK's figured it out, St. Laurent hasn't.
Once again, the Express without their top 2 guards, trying to figure it out on the fly. I think as the season progresses and they get their star Ben Datro back in the game and their second guard Gideon Blumfor, once they get them both back healthy, I think things are going to figure themselves out for this team. So this weekend, really, Coach Akram Slyman came in saying this is going to be a learning process for us. I'm not saying I'm going to just take L's laying down, but you know, not a high expectation in the wins-loss record for this session, the first session of the 2nd season in the NPA.
Keogh, Andrew Keogh, the point guard for St. Laurent, he kind of had a couple stretches here where he's been reliable, but then you see a bit of this. Turnovers, he needs to be able to make the right pass, no jump passing, just try to get it inside, outside. There's another one. Turnovers have killed St. Laurent in the last quarter here as we're last 14 seconds going down to 10, and SJK will just dribble this one out.
71-63, St. John Kilmarnock with their 2nd win of their Ottawa session schedule will be back on deck. The Riverhawks out of Rothesay, New Brunswick will be taking on Beasts from the Hammer, Hamilton, Ontario. Stay with us. Game 1 in the books, Game 2 on deck. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.